my name is Susan Swift. I am the VP for Legal Affairs at the Right to Life League. That's America's first pro-life organization. We were founded in 1967, and we've been fighting against abortion in California since long before Roe versus Wade. Yes, this is D-Day, Dobbs Day. Dobbs has now overruled Roe versus Wade. We are ecstatic and we are overjoyed because, first of all, from a perspective as an attorney, this is federalism in action. Our Constitution limits the federal government at what it can and cannot do. The problem with Roe versus Wade fundamentally was it created a right that did not exist in law. Our Congress has never passed an abortion amendment. There is no right to abortion in the Constitution. That was made up by an activist court. They created it. That's the type of thing that pro-aborts and leftists want. They want men in black robes to simply create the laws that they like. And what Dobbs has done is it has overturned a badly written decision of Roe versus Wade and then its progeny, Casey, and it has returned to the states what was rightfully theirs, namely the issue of abortion. And what has happened today? Did the right to abortion, was it taken away? No. First of all, it never existed. Second of all, that issue, if you're going to create a right, it belongs to the states. So there is no federal right. So nothing has changed. If you live in Texas, your rights are now limited because Texas starts recognizing the right of the unborn to life. If you live in California, as I do, nothing has changed. They're going to be doing abortions 24/7 on demand up through delivery. Well, in California, the legislature is very, very pro-abortion. They are funded by the abortion cartel. And so they get elected by being pro-abortion, and they sponsor these bills. And a lot of them are spending bills designed to put money back into the coffers of Planned Parenthood and NARAL. As you've mentioned, one of them is SB 1142. That's the abortion vacay bill, the abortion tourism bill, that they're going to be using our taxpayer dollars to pay for everything from travel, lodging, lost wages, for the time you're away from work, insurance, even babysitting. I kid you not. They're going to pay for all of it so that women can come from all around our country to get an abortion. That's what they're doing. And it's worse than that. They have 20 bills like this. There's abortion scholarships. You want to learn to be an abortionist? The state will pay for it. There's the AB 2223, the infanticide bill. That's the one that's going to legalize abortion all the way through delivery, past delivery, into the perinatal period that can be up to 28 days. They're going to legalize that. But I'll give them one thing. At least they are going through this in an orderly legal fashion. They're changing the laws that they want to change. They have the power to do it, and they're just marching it through. They are not defying the law, as Jane's Revenge is promising, as Nancy Pelosi and I guess it was Maxine Waters today out front of the Supreme Court said, we will defy the Supreme Court. That's what our elected officials here in California, Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi, are planning to do. They're going to absolutely flout the decision. And that is exactly what these radical pro-leftists, these abortionists want to do. They ignore the laws they don't like. At least the California legislature is proceeding in at least a somewhat lawful fashion. However, on a lot of these bills, what they're doing, they are violating our Constitution in California, because a Supreme Court of California has already ruled in 1981 that you can't just earmark spending just for abortion. It has to be balanced. You have to spend equal amounts. You can't prefer one over the other, because then you're forcing women with a public benefit analysis. You're kind of encouraging them to choose abortion. And in 1981, our Supreme Court said you can't do that. You have to fund it equally. But the legislators in California don't care. They're just pushing their radical agenda through, and they're demanding that we spend $120 million of taxpayer funding to promote abortion. And it's worse than that, because Biden sent all the blue states a blue state bailout. And our California surplus budget is now approaching $100 billion. with a B. And so Governor Newsom is going to be actually able to spend money that didn't come from California. It came from all of these other federal, the other states that Biden has sent them in an end run around the Hyde Amendment to fund abortion here. So it's not just California taxpayer dollars, it's Texas taxpayer dollars and Alabama and Ohio and any state you want. Those taxpayer dollars are coming here to California to fund abortion against the Hyde Amendment, against the ruling today out of the Supreme Court, Dobbs, against that. In fact, it's coming here to California because California is going to be the pro-abortion sanctuary state for the entire nation. It's deplorable and it's despicable, but they are marching it through. And the only thing that'll fix it are elections. Absolutely. There isn't a proposed abortion amendment to our California state constitution. I was just up in Sacramento on Wednesday. I've been up many, many times. We oppose all pro-abortion bills and any bill that's going to expand abortion, including the abortion amendment, which is SCA 10. We're opposing it all. We are the only exclusively pro-life organization that I know of that is actively opposing every one of these bills. There's at least 20 of them, I think. It's like drinking from a fire hose. And we're on the front lines every day with that. We help organize witness testimony because they don't want to just hear from me. They want to hear from other people as well. So we organize doctors and abortion survivors and people who run clinics, anyone who has relevant testimony that can give, we organize that and we help them testify before these committees. But the committees really don't want to hear it. They just want to pass the pro-abortion bill, but we're going to keep fighting it. You have to understand the Constitution and the way that it was set up and structured. But these people are very ignorant, and they're also selling fear porn. They just want to. That's why you've got these people out in front of the Supreme Court demonstrating and crying and histrionics and everything. They're trying to scare you, and they're trying to give you great media because they want to rile you up and they want you to be fearful and afraid, as though the government is taking something away from you. When in fact, what the Supreme Court has done and why it is so monumental, it's like Brown versus Board of Education. It is epic in that it restores the right to this issue to the states. It controls the federal government. We don't want a big centralized federal government taking away our rights or dictating what rights we have. That's what Roe versus Wade did 49 years ago. It's just that the pro-aborts like that ruling from Roe versus Wade. That's why they want it to continue. They want to pick and choose. They want to cherry pick what laws they like and which ones they will defy, as Maxine Waters said. So that's why they're mad about it. But the structure of the Constitution has prevailed. The issue is now with the states, and each state can decide for themselves, and people can move to states they like. If you're a pro-abortion person, well, California is losing people left and right. We probably could use you to come over and move here if you really like it. Other people are going to move to Texas and places where their lifestyle is more in line in keeping with the values that are there. That's how it's supposed to work.